Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fabulous interview with the 17 Hats ambassador who has been with us for a very long time, 10 years or so, as we dive into and reflect back on the last 10 years of 17 Hats as we celebrate our birthday. So today I am joined by Will Wohler. He has come on to talk to us again, ambassador. He's come on to talk to us and share with us his journey. Will, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. I'm excited. This is fun. I can't believe it's been 10 years
Yeah,
already.
it goes by really fast, even though I haven't been here the whole 10 years. I've only been here since 2017, and that's gone by really fast. So it's been a ridiculous ride. So, through these stories, as I chat with Will today, I'm hoping to bring you guys listening some inspirational stories and advice from real business owners who have made it for 10 years. The people that we're talking to on these stories, they have passed, like they've broken the mold, right? It is, typically businesses go out of business, the first year, year 3, year 5, year 10. And all these people I'm talking to, you guys are wise old owls. You're doing it, right? You're making it happen for 10 years. These are the people you need to be taking advice from. So Will and I, we go way back. I am so happy to have you on, Will. Thanks for joining me.
Happy to. Thank you.
As we dive in, let's start off. Give us a little bit about you, who you are, where you're from, what you do.
Sure. I'm Will Wohler. I'm a headshot and portrait photographer. I'm based in Portland, Maine. And I help people reconnect with their inner artists through coaching, through client experience and branding, as well as a photographer through personal branding sessions, headshots, corporate headshots. I strictly kind of stay within the studio headshot sort of realm. I don't do weddings or really events, but that's kind of been my bread and butter for the past, it'll be 10 years in January.
I love that you have the connect with your inner artist. As a past art major in college, I adore that. But what I love foremost, and I think this is like starting off with that kind of wise old owl type situation, right? You don't just say I'm a corporate headshot person, or I shoot headshots, right? You really have what you do down and your brand down, which is amazing. And I will say that Will has some of the most amazing self portraits that you've done of yourself. I love them.
Oh,
He
thank
does
you.
ridiculously cool stuff. Do you do that yearly?
It's been a while, actually. There was a stretch, I think a couple years ago, I made it an effort to do one a month. And I think I petered out in like August and then skipped a couple months, but I think I did seven or eight out of the entire year. But yeah, that was a fun project, and I've been itching to do another one really recently.
Oh, you
So
should do it.
there'll be another one coming out soon, I hope.
I will say it was so cool for me to watch because I was like, oh, what is he going to do this month? What is he going to do this month? So you did a really great job at that. But
Thank you.
such a great project to kind of experiment on yourself as well.
Mm.
All right. So how long have you been in business?
January will be my 10-year. Yep, 2015.
Yeah. So 17 Hats released October of 2014.
Hmm.
You came onto business in January of 2015. How did you find 17 Hats? What was your business like before 17 Hats? Let's dive into that.
There really wasn't a business before 17 Hats because I literally started with 17 Hats as I started my business. So I don't know much
I love
other
that.
than it. Yeah, like we grew together. I feel like we've grown up together. There was kind of a business, I should say, like the piecemeal, I'm going to do stuff in email and then over in this other app and then this other app and then talking with other professionals and other photographers and other business owners, like you really need to get some sort of system in place. I'm like, okay. And at that time I was like fighting the systems and not wanting to do that. The artist in me was like, no, I can do all my free will and do anything that I want. But deep down, I know.
That's what I call the ego years. I
Yes.
can do it myself. I don't need your help.
Right. And then, so I signed up for 17 Hats more of like a CRM just to kind of get in leads and track and do invoicing and contracts. Because I knew I wanted to start with contracts and be legit, try to be as legitimate, forward facing, client facing as possible from the beginning.
I love that.
And I knew there was workflows, I knew there was automation and stuff like that, but honestly, I didn't get into that until like 3 or 4 years into my business,
Yeah.
and that was another jump. I feel like in my business was getting into the automation and workflows, but I think just getting into the system itself and having a project management
Yeah.
platform was huge. I'm very much the type of person who likes to go to one place for everything, and if it's like
Mhm.
categorized and structured. And 17 Hats, I tried a couple others at the time. Don't really remember it that too well, but I remember 17 Hats being a
Sure.
little bit more intuitive in how my brain thought in terms of like project or client, and then there's a project under that client, and each client can have multiple projects. Because I was doing a lot of freelance for like a university, so the different departments would be have different projects under that one umbrella sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the start of it, and then it just kind of blossomed from there. And I feel like I grew with all the new features and good timing with how my business was growing as well, and still absolutely loving it.
That is really cool. I love that you're like, I started because I wanted to have like a professional look.
I feel like most people just jump in and they don't think about that.
Yeah.
Um, but that can be huge in perception and your branding from the beginning.
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of people don't realize how much having a professional look and feel really does help their business move along, right? So first impressions, even second
Mm,
impressions, they last. Like they're
mm,
very lasting. And so if everything is moving and grooving and then you send a contract as a PDF or a contract as whatever, or don't have a contract at all,
mm.
it makes people kind of lose trust a little bit.
Yeah, I've always run on a quote from a band director that I'm sure a lot of people have heard before, but you never get a second chance at a first impression. So I wanted to make my first impression always memorable and good, and not like haphazard for
I
clients.
love that. Yeah. I think it's something that when you're running a business, people very much so overlook because with business, it's not just about taking beautiful headshots like you do
Mm.
or whatever it is, making beautiful balloon garlands, but it is about the process and the experience that moves beyond that. So, talk to me a little bit about that. Talk to me about your client experience and how that has changed over the last like 10 years, right?
Oh,
Like, let's give some good wisdom here.
yeah. Oh, it's changed and it's still evolving. It's still evolving. I'll find little efficiencies here and there that I'll need to tweak. But I've always been a high touch sort of business, and I felt like that kind of distinguished myself in my area and in my industry in my area.
Yeah.
So I started out with doing consultations before the photo shoot, and then having what I call an image reveal afterwards, where we go through the images, and that's like their ordering appointment per se.
Yeah.
So like a in-person sales sort of model, if you're familiar with that photography
Sure.
business model. So I've always kind of done that, but it's evolved in terms of efficiency with 17 Hats in terms of the automation, and a lot of things are hands off now. Like now I've evolved into doing more headshots, like corporate headshots. Individual headshot sessions are pretty much automated. Like that's all, quote, contract, invoice goes out. They schedule a call if they want to. If not, I first time I interact with them is when they either have a call with me or they show up for their session. Um, but it's
I
still all
love that.
personal. It's all stuff I've built myself, so it's still me. It's still my voice. And it's still my brand. But I feel like I've come into more of knowing my process as my brand, and knowing that experience is my brand, and kind of leaning into that a little bit more instead of just making changes just to make changes. I'm trying to be more intentional with how I and why I make changes the in the process, whether it's adding value at certain stages because I get the same questions all the time at that same
Yeah.
process at same point
Yeah.
in the experience, or it's just, oh, I think clients should know this at this point. Just kind of tweaking it that way right now, and that just creates a better experience. And
I love that.
it will always evolve. It'll always be changing.
I think that's one thing I hear a lot of people that are like, well, I don't have my process yet. Like, I don't know my process yet. I won't start 17 hats until I understand my process. And I can't get through people that like, you're never going to fully understand your process. Your process is ever changing. And, if I think about, just process my morning routine process, right? Because your morning
Mm.
routine, everything you do is a process, right? When you were little, you still had a process. When you're older, you still have a process. But every year of your life, that process adjusts a little bit as you mature, as things change, as you grow older. Your morning routine process adjusts and change. And I think it's the same thing with your business process, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a baby business, you're just getting started, your process is going to be maybe just one or two steps. Like that's all you know right now. But as you experience more, as you do more, as you get more clients, as you get more feedback from clients. So I love that you said, questions I get from clients, I go and I put that into my process. Um, you're always adjusting it. So I just, you know, I love this conversation.
And if anything, it's gotten more expansive. It's gotten there's more in it, but
Yeah.
it's for the client. It's not just to put stuff in it, just to put stuff in it. It's based
Yeah.
off feedback, and it's for the client and for their ultimate experience and what they get out of it.
I love that. And then branding too. So let's talk a little bit about branding because again, when people are just starting out with business, it's like branding is logo and colors, right? But branding is so much more than that because you talk about it's your brand. So talk to me a
Mhm.
little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm also kind of starting a coaching business, a business coaching side of my business,
Sure.
in branding and client experience, and that comes out of working with a lot of clients who are creatives, creative entrepreneurs, like musicians, artists, speakers, authors, that sort of thing. And there was a lot of people who didn't have a sense of brand. They didn't know what their brand was, and most of those people, like you said, oh, it's my logo and my colors. I don't have a website. I don't know what I'm doing yet. Well,
Yeah.
for me, it's not, that doesn't matter. It matters. What matters is your core values. How do you speak to your client? That client experience, that process, that is part of your brand, because that's how your clients perceive you. And to me, branding is all about how people perceive you and how people
Right.
experience you and your brand. It has nothing to do with colors. Yeah, it can be part of that process, but it's not the first thing that they should see
Definitely
or
not.
experience. It's about the feelings that they have, the emotions that go into it, whether they're having a pain point before they hire you or the relief that they feel when they're done working with you. Like they're all that is part of their experience. And that's kind of how I approach my branding with my personal branding clients for photography, as well as my coaching clients. That's the first thing we start, because that can influence your logo, your colors, your messaging, your website. If you can be big, bright, and bold and loud, that's your personality. That's part of your brand, and you're a lot of information. That's going to influence your website. A very stark white and black website may not match that. So knowing that
Go with
stuff
it.
first before you get the colors and logos and the brand identity things, I feel like is the first step that most people skip, and that's kind of where I approach it. Yeah.
So many people skip, and I think through the journey, your brand is going to change as
Mm-hmm.
you get to know yourself, as you mature in business, right? I call it business maturity.
Mm.
So as your business maturity, moves forward, you're going to learn so much more about yourself and who you want to be in business, and you yourself is going to grow as a business owner. um, Growth as a business owner, I feel like everybody's like, I want to grow the business, I want to grow the business, but they don't think about growing themselves, right? So I'm a big believer that your business can't grow unless you grow. So if you
Totally.
grow as a business owner, then your business can grow. So let's talk about your growth as a business owner. How has that been over the last 10 years? What were some aha moments for you?
Oh wow. I don't think I can even begin to describe the growth, just because it's there's been so much, and it's been a lot all at once almost. Um, but
Yeah.
there's because it has happened. You kind of have to. It's part of that stepping out of the comfort zone. Like just being a business owner, you're
Mhm.
kind of always just outside your comfort zone, which is
Yep.
a good thing because that's where growth happens. And for
Right.
me, big aha moments was especially around money. Like I had a hard time. Like I worked retail for 10 years. I could sell a T-shirt and clothing, hundreds of dollars worth of sales, but I couldn't sell my own work. Like that was the hardest
Wow.
thing to get over. Like pricing my own work, because it's so attached to me. It's who I am. It's what I enjoy, and working even with a client. It's still a part of me, and it comes through me basically, if you think about it that way. And it's like that for any service provider or any artist, musician, craftsperson. like pricing your work can be tough. That was a big thing. Another big thing was, like I mentioned before, I was fighting the process, fighting needing the process. Um, and it took me a couple of years to get into the workflows and automation in 17 hats. But once I did, that was like everything just opened up, and it's like, oh, I can automate this. Oh, what can I do here? I can make this a lot easier. I can templatize this. Just having that freedom to not think about every single email you have to write or the contract you have to send tomorrow because they just scheduled a call with you today. Like having things automate like that gives you more freedom to be other places in your business, whether that's marketing or networking or anywhere else with a client even. Those are some big aha moments. But just I think being a business owner, there is growth and anticipate it, and you may not realize it's happening until way down the
Yeah.
road.
That is true. I don't think you do. I look back at my small business journey, even my journey here at 17 hats, and gosh, when you push yourself, and you're right, you stand right outside of that edge of comfort, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you're constantly pushing yourself, and you have to get really comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
That's always what I tend to say, because that uncomfort means that you're growing and that you're expanding. And when you hold yourself accountable that way, the growth is just unlimited, which then
Mm-hmm.
allows your business to grow. Another question for you with automation. So many people are concerned that automation, when you automate, you lose personality, right? It's not personal anymore. And I harp on
Mm-hmm.
this so much on that it's
I was
just
I
not
was one of those
true.
too.
Yeah, like people just believe it. And of course I was the same way. But it's just not true. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and I think it might be different. Different people have different reasonings for that, why they don't like
Sure.
it. For me, it was I was thinking automation. I had to purchase a system or something like that that didn't feel like me. Um, but with 17 hats and other ways of templatizing and using your own voice, I found
Mhm.
that I was like, I still can do that. Yeah, it's tedious and you have to do all of the writing yourself,
Yeah.
but to me that makes sure it's the most authentic to my brand and to my voice, and it doesn't sound like someone else. And I've purchased things before where I've had to tweak and I've had to go in and edit them anyways. So it's like, why not just write them
Sure.
from the beginning? Like they never really sounded like me. They never really felt like me coming from me, like any sort of templates or things like that. So I built it all from scratch. Like I did every
I love
email.
that.
Well, my contracts, I did talk with my business lawyer about. He reviewed
Sure.
it, which I recommend everyone do.
Of
Um,
course.
but there were some things in that I talked with him about that I wanted to have in there that made more sense for clients, make it more less legalese, but more understandable for the layman.
Yeah.
But also still make sure I'm covered with everything. So there were some things like that that I went through to still keep it authentic to me.
Yeah.
And I think some people can tell that when it's a template and when it's an automation, and
Sure.
which can be great for certain instances, like, oh, reminder, you have a photo shoot tomorrow. Great,
Yeah.
that's fine. It doesn't have to be your voice every single time, but for the things that have meaning and value, I wanted to make sure that it was me. So the only way that I saw it at the time was building it from scratch.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that your tone that
Mm,
you write things in, your voice that you write things in, how you, even how sometimes people punctuate things or
mhm,
their email signature, they sign off, or even how people say hello, right? Those are all little kind of micro
mhm.
brand things, right? That can make a big difference. It's just consistency,
Right.
where it doesn't feel automated. You still have that voice and you still feel like you're talking to a person and not a robot.
Yeah, and some people can do the templates, buy the templates, and it works for them. That's great. If it works for you, do that. Or however you can get to a point where you're not always in your business, you can step away and things will
Yeah,
still work while you're stepping away. Do that.
sure.
But for me, that was the biggest thing for me to keep it on brand, if you will.
If you listen to all of these, you're going to hear me talk about mindset on every single one of these, because I think mindset is a big player, right? In having a successful business. If you're always down and out, well, then you're always going to be down and out. If you're always positive, you're always going to be positive. Um, when you look at mindset, what are some of the characteristics that you feel like you have had to kind of uphold when it comes to mindset to get you through these 10 years?
A lot. And that maybe that's one of the other aha moments of being a business owner is how much my mindset has changed and the
Hmm.
growth in that aspect of
Yeah.
it. I never thought I could be a small business owner, first of all. So getting through that was a big hump. Um,
Yeah.
and there was a time where I was kind of building two businesses, with one with my photography business, another one with my brother, and I had support from my brother. He kind of gave me some pep talks, but um, one thing that still resonates now is that look for the evidence of that you've already done this. A lot of the dips and downs, you've been there before. How did you get out of it, or what kept you going? There's a lot of it happens frequently, and you have to kind of come to that realization that there will be ups, there will be downs. It's not just rainbows and unicorns all the time. Um,
Yeah.
this year, honestly, this year especially has been lots of ups and downs, unexpected ups and downs, especially downs. Um, but there's that sense of there's just this progressive motion momentum that just propels you forward as a business owner because you have no choice, first of all,
Yeah.
and you have done this before. You've been in certain situations. Take that next step. What is that, even the smallest step that you can take, um, that 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 right there has gotten me out of a lot of a lot of downward spirals.
I love
And
that.
it could be just going for a walk. Like if you're
Yep.
overwhelmed with a lot of things, just going for a walk can kind of relieve that. um, but taking a step, finding even help, find help. You can find help. It's okay to ask for help.
That's a big one. I mean, I think that I know I just talked about this on another one that we just did, another interview that I just did a while ago. But a lot of times we don't want to ask for help,
Hmm.
right? We're doing this and we feel like we're solopreneurship. You're usually on your own. You usually don't have a business partner, and you feel like everything is just on your chest and you don't know maybe where to turn for help with, or you don't know how to ask for help, or you don't want to ask for help, and it's just you just need to sometimes. I
Hmm.
call this journey a very mountainous journey. You're going to have the highest highs and the lowest lows of your life,
It's
right?
true.
It's not just a nice simple hike, right? It is a mountainous journey.
Hmm.
um and you're right. Sometimes it's just, what is the next one step I have to take here?
Mm.
That's amazing. Last question for you before we wrap up our time. For people who are new in their first year or second year of running their business, now that you are in that past the 10 years, you've exceeded the statistics, what advice do you have for them?
Keep going, because when you think you're done, you may be right up against that next big break or that next big thing that's going to propel you forward to keep you going. You might get that little kick in the butt to get that next big client. Um, just keep going. You're in this for a reason, and finding ways to get back to that reason will only motivate you to keep going. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing what I do, is to help people reconnect with their art, with their passions, their purpose, because that's really what got us started in the first place.
I love that. I like to say this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Pace yourself and just keep moving. Well, if
Mm-hmm.
somebody wants to learn about you, to hear more about your offerings, where can they find you?
So I have two sites. My coaching site is willwohler.com, WILLWOHLER.com. And my photography website is wohlerandco.com. It's my last name, ANDCO.com. And that has all my photography related things, headshots, portraits, that sort of thing. And Instagram as well, Wohler
Awesome.
and Co. Facebook, Wohler and Co. Yeah,
Amazing. I think you are a partner in our marketplace as well.
I am. Yes.
There you go. All right. Well, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you opening up and giving us this little insight over your last 10 years of business and sharing with our members your journey in hopes of inspiring them on their journey towards 10 years as well. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. This was great. Nice reflection for me as well.
And everybody who's listening, we'll see you next time.